Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Meredith Phillips, and today we're going to talk about NaNoWriMo. Again, I'm making another video about NaNoWriMo. I have more things to say about NaNoWriMo. And you guys had some things to say too. I posted a survey a couple weeks back asking for your feedback on your NaNoWriMo experience in 2021, and I got 104 responses, which was awesome. Thank you all so much if you took the time to fill out the survey. I really appreciate it. And you guys had some really great responses to the questions, so we'll go ahead and get into all that in just a second. But before we get to all that, I do have one more request from you. I have another video I'm planning to post in January that is going to be reacting to your writing spaces. So if you'd like to maybe be a part of that video, I can't guarantee that I'm going to use all of the responses depending on like how many responses I get, but if you'd like to be in the running to be in that video, there is a link below to a little submission form. You can submit up to 5 photos of your writing space, and if you'd like to get a shout out or like have your links to your YouTube channel or your Instagram or whatever you've got going on, you can do that as well. If you want to be anonymous, you can also be anonymous, but the submission form and more information on that is below. I'll have that open until December 30th, and then it'll be closed and you'll get to see the video for that in mid-January. So let's go ahead and dive into your salty and sweet opinions on NaNoWriMo. I'll get into your responses and the survey results here in just a minute, but first I wanted to go over a few of the pros and cons that I personally felt in relation to NaNoWriMo this year. We'll start with the cons and then we can end on a little bit of a high note with the pros. So honestly, for me, most of my NaNoWriMo experience took place right here in front of my computer, and it was really a lot of consuming content from YouTubers and just writing my story. I really didn't utilize the NaNoWriMo website or the NaNoWriMo Instagram or Twitter accounts or any of that kind of stuff the same amount as I have in the past. In fact, I'm not even following the NaNoWriMo Instagram and Twitter accounts anymore. The Twitter account, they post a lot every single day, and it was just like filling up my feed with stuff I didn't want to see every single day. And the Instagram account, I forget why I unfollowed them. It just wasn't helpful, I guess, and so I didn't want to follow them anymore. But overall, I've just relied less and less over the last couple years on the organization itself, and I've been finding motivation and inspiration and resources in other places. So there's 3 things I kind of want to highlight that I would love to see either improvement on or expansion of, and the first thing is super petty. I understand that. It's not really that big a deal. I'm not like mad about it, but if they expanded it, I would be so excited. And that is the winner's t-shirts. I'm wearing my 2020 t-shirt right now because the one for this past year is in the laundry, but I do really like the t-shirts. They're simple t-shirts, but they hold up. I've had, like I buy them every year. So I have a bunch of them at this point that I've had for several years. They're not a cheap material. They hold together well. So I do like, at least, they're a decent quality shirt, but they're all t-shirts. You're getting it in November, which for a large portion of the world, it's kind of chilly in November. And so I'd love to see them have the winner's t-shirt be available in both a t-shirt and a long sleeve t-shirt. That would be great. It would also be really cool if they came in some different colors. I'm not a huge fan of black, and they're always black. I'll wear it. You've seen me wear them in like multiple videos, so I clearly don't mind wearing it, but it's not like my favorite color. I know it goes with everything, and it's probably easy to make the design work on a black t-shirt and then not have to worry about it working on like multiple other colors, but long sleeve t-shirt in multiple colors would be great. The second thing I want to point out is one of the questions actually that I had in the survey was, did you participate in the donation weekend? And a bunch of you said no, which is fine. You certainly do not have to donate to the organization, but there was a significant chunk of you that said you didn't even know that it was happening. I almost missed it as well because they didn't announce that it was happening until like 2 or 3 days before it started. There was no mention of it. I even went back to their Twitter and their Instagram feed to see like, did they note that it was upcoming? I couldn't find a single post before the day that it started that they were doing this donation weekend. I'm pretty sure the only way I found out about it was an email that I'm pretty sure I got less than a week before it was starting. I don't understand why they did it this way. In the past, they've had the double up donation weekend, which is usually the first weekend of NaNoWriMo or like the first Saturday of NaNoWriMo. But this year, the donation weekend started on October 30th. It started before NaNoWriMo even got started, which I thought was a weird choice to make. And I don't feel like it was well advertised. I don't know why. Like, they're obviously, the big thing they're trying to do is raise money for their organization. And it seems like if they had promoted it and gotten people excited about like the prizes you can win if you donate on certain days or during certain hours, they maybe would have gotten more participation. Now, they did raise quite a lot this year, which is great, but I think they probably would have gotten even more if more people had known about it and been like prepared for it. So I hope in the future, if they choose to do it before NaNoWriMo even starts, which I think is a weird choice to make, but whatever weekend they do their big donation push, I really hope that they advertise it more, because I do think they'll get more participation. And finally, my third little con here is really the big one, and that is the whole idea of nano rebels. The concept of nano rebels have been around for quite a while now. They are acknowledged on the website. You can go to a forum section specifically for nano rebels, which is great. They have a personal badge that you can select on your profile that says I'm a nano rebel. However, as we all know, if you go to create a project linked to NaNoWriMo, you can't make any other goal aside from 50,000 words, which I think is kind of dumb at this point. Over the last, I would say maybe 3 years, I feel like the number of people who are doing nano as a rebel or as somebody who's not aiming for 50,000 words, I feel like that number has either increased or people are being more vocal about it. I'm not sure which, but I see so many people who are wanting to join in, but they don't want to put the pressure on themselves to write 50,000 words, or they know themselves as a writer and they know that is not realistic, or they're at a different point in the writing process. They're not ready to write a first draft. They're revising some other draft, or they're still outlining or whatever. And I think that NaNoWriMo could be so much bigger and encourage so many more writers if they allowed it to be a little more flexible in terms of who can participate and how they can participate. Now, we all know the website is a little bit messy, but if they updated the website, there's so much they could do with like choosing your own goal and how to represent that on the site that I know would require quite a bit of work on the back end of the website. I acknowledge that fully. However, like just make it happen. I don't know. I'm not a website designer, so I know that that's probably like a big task to take on. I hope that it is on their to-do list though, because I think if they added options for rebels, the overall message would be so much easier to promote. It would be so much more inclusive of people who are interested in writing. They just are not really ready to do a first draft, or they're not able to do it at that pace. And because nano rebels are listed in other areas of the website, it seems like the nano organization is fine with people participating as a rebel, but you still don't have really the option to select that when you're making your project. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. So I really hope that they will fix that for people who want to do some other sort of challenge for themselves during the month of November. Couple pros, and then we'll jump into the survey results. First, I do love that as soon as you log in, the ability to update your word count is right there at the top of the page. You don't have to click on some weird menu to find it. It's right there. For me, it was pretty simple to go on, enter my word count, update it. It wasn't a big deal. I also really liked the stats page, which was a little hard to find. It doesn't seem, okay, this is a weird thing. That stats page is really just in a menu. Once you find it, it's not hard to find, but I feel like it took me a while to find it, which seems dumb because it is right there, but something about how it's there is like not obvious. I don't know. But a bunch of you noted that in your comments on the survey, saying like, it took me forever to figure out where the stats page was, which relatable. I had the same issue. It also took me a while. There were a couple days where I forgot to update the word count on the website, and there is a feature where you can go in and add something for a previous day, and it took me forever to figure out where that was. I knew it was there, so I kept looking, but it took me a long time to find it. The other thing that I don't think is new this year, I'm pretty sure it was new when they moved to the new website, but there's no longer a word count validation. If this is your first year doing Nano or you didn't use the old website, when you were getting ready to win NaNoWriMo, you had to copy all of the words you wrote and paste it into this box on the website, and it would count your words and tell you if you got 50,000 words or not, which was kind of silly because it's obviously an honor system to begin with. You could have written 25,000 words and just copy pasted it twice into the box. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't really do anything. So I'm glad that they got rid of that in the move to the new website. Finally, I'm pretty sure this is new this year and I loved it, and that is that box on the side of your dashboard with all of your buddies. It's right there when you log in. This is so much easier than how it used to be. I don't remember this from last year, so if it was there last year, somebody let me know in the comments. Maybe I was just completely oblivious, but this year there's a little box on the side of your dashboard and it has all of your buddies in it, and it tells you how many words they've written. It has a little chart to show you what percentage of the way through the challenge they are, and you can just scroll through and see how your buddies are doing kind of like at a glance. There's even a little section where you can message them directly, which I liked. I did utilize that a couple times just to be like, hey, good job hitting 50,000 or whatever. Previously, if you wanted to check up on your buddies, you had to go to a buddy section, then you had to click on the buddy to go to that buddy's profile, then you had to go to that buddy's projects page to see what their update was. Like, it was like 5 or 6 clicks to look at one person's status, which was ridiculous. So I really like this new improvement. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the survey results. You can see the stats results pulled up here. So we'll start at the top. The first one is how many times have you participated in Nano? About a quarter of you said it was your first time participating, which was really cool. Most people were in that 2 to 4 year category, which kind of makes sense. And then a couple people were sort of in those higher range numbers. For NaNoWriMo 2021, what was your goal? I was really surprised at this. I thought more people would answer that they were participating in a rebel capacity, but most of you, 72%, said your goal was to write 50,000 words, which again, I was kind of surprised. Some people said that they had a different word count goal. Only a handful of you said you had a revision or editing goal. Another handful said that you had changed your goal partway through the month. And then some people had like other kind of selected there. So again, I was surprised that it was that many aiming for 50K. Next, did you achieve your goal for NaNoWriMo? I was also surprised at this because I feel like I see so many people saying that they lost or that they didn't hit whatever their goal was. 63% said that yes, you did hit your goal. So that's awesome. Congratulations. Some of you did say no. And then some of these were basically no, not even remotely close. I liked that one. The next question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the NaNoWriMo website? I was obviously very interested to see how you guys thought about the website. And I feel like most of them were sort of in this 4 to 8 range. The average, I did take an average here, was about 6, which I feel like that's fair. I feel like I would give the website probably a 5 or 6. There is a lot on the website, but the way it's arranged is not particularly intuitive. Which we'll get to that in a second here. In terms of responses to why did you rate the website the way you did, there were a myriad of responses. Some people were saying it was great, it worked for me, I updated my word count, I had no problems. A lot of you mentioned the fact that it was difficult to navigate. One person said it can be difficult navigating the site and remembering where certain features are hidden and the order in which you need to click on things. Accurate. I found that to be very true as well. Another person said it's working way better than it did in 2019, which I would agree with that. That first year we were using the new site, I remember a lot of people talking about the badges were not awarding themselves correctly when you hit certain milestones. I didn't see anyone mentioning that this year, so I think that's been fixed. If you have had issues with the badges not populating the way they're supposed to, let me know, but I think they've fixed that, which is great. One person noted this, which I thought was important. They said, I really like that it forced me to upload my word count and keep me accountable toward my goal, but I would have preferred it if the next day it hadn't switched immediately after midnight. As a late night writer, it definitely discouraged me from writing so late at night when I'm usually most productive. That's really interesting. I hadn't even thought of that because I am not at all a late night writer. But yeah, if it switches to midnight, then it's the next day, which can kind of goof up your word counts and stuff, so I can understand how that would be frustrating. A lot of people noted the forums were super confusing, which I totally understand. The forums can be really overwhelming. There are so many categories, and they tried to fix that, I think, by introducing that whole idea of muting certain sections for yourself that you can select. It's just confusing. It's not very well set up. Another person said, I mostly just use it for updating my word count and I had no issues with it this year. So it worked for what I personally needed. I'm not sure I would have given it as high a rating as I did if I used the forums more. Understandable. A lot of people noted that they really liked the stats page with the different graphs and stuff, which I totally agree. I do love seeing the little graphs and all the stats that you can see over there. That's always fun. One person said, it's confusing, annoying, but also extremely simple. I blame myself. And I find that too. I don't know what it is. That's kind of what I was saying with finding how to update word count from a previous day. Like, it's right there, but somehow it's not right there. It's just not intuitive. And I consider myself to be like a pretty savvy tech user. I can kind of figure stuff out pretty quickly. And it took me a minute to kind of figure out where these different things were. Another person noted I had recently moved and it won't let me update my region to reflect where I'm at. I found that to be a problem also back in 2019 when we moved. And finally, one person said, I like the statistics page, but I wish I could have also participated in Nano under a Rebel tag where I could set a more specific goal, i.e. less words or maybe editing or revision, where my days worked could be tracked instead of words written. That's what I'm talking about. If we had some other options, it would make it feel more inclusive for people who are not doing 50,000 words. So 2 quick questions here about using the website. If you used the NaNoWriMo website frequently during November, what features did you enjoy using? Most people said the word update and stats section, which makes sense. That's what I would have answered. And secondly, if you used the NaNoWriMo website frequently during November, what features confused or were difficult for you? And most people said the forums and the region section, as well as the buddy section. And that kind of, I'm wondering if we're talking about the same thing in terms of the buddy section, because I said I really liked that little box on your dashboard. I felt that was really easy to navigate, but a bunch of you in your comments said that it was super confusing. So maybe we're talking about 2 different sections, because I know there's a separate section specifically for buddies. I didn't ever go to that though. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the forum and region section here in a minute. Here's what I was talking about with the donation weekend that took place. 62% of you said you did not participate at all in the donation weekend. About a quarter of you had no idea that it even happened, which is understandable because they didn't promote it very well. And only 13.5% said yes, you did participate. Next, I asked overall how you rate your NaNoWriMo experience this year. A lot of you said 10, which I was kind of surprised at, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Most people, like you can see, were in this sort of 7 to 10 range. There was a few of you in this midpoint. Very few of you, though, rated it super low. I would consider anything below 5 like really stinky. So there were a few of you down here, which stinks. I'm sorry if you didn't have a very good time. So that can be due to a whole variety of factors, but hopefully in the future we can bump some of these up a little higher in the experience range. Then I asked what had the biggest impact on your Nano experience as rated above. So most of you said YouTube or other social media content from creators outside the NaNoWriMo organization. I'm not super surprised at that, honestly. A quarter of you, a little over a quarter of you, almost 30%, said that your internal motivation was what made you enjoy your NaNoWriMo experience the most. Very few of you, only 3%, said that the Nano organization had any impact on your overall experience. I was surprised it was that low, and that's disappointing for them, I guess. Like, ooh. For some of you that answered like the other option. There were a lot of like personal reasons, work, mental health, things like that. Other people said their region's Discord channel was very helpful for them. So there were a few other options or a few other comments for things like that. Then I got into some of these long form questions. The first one was, what do you like about the NaNoWriMo organization? And a bunch of you had some really positive feedback. The most common word that I could see in these responses here was encouragement and resources. One person said the community spirit they encourage. It's hard to build a big enough platform to achieve something like the numbers that flock to NaNoWriMo. True. Another person said, as a whole, I like that they exist. They provide so much encouragement, and it's really nice to be able to take part in something that I enjoy with so many other people that love the same thing. I think it's great what they do for youth as well. A bunch of you also mentioned the Young Writers Program, which I haven't talked a whole lot about, but I do like that they provide resources for educators around the country to encourage creative writing, which I think is super important. Others here did note the resources. The website does have a lot of resources on it. However, they are difficult to find. If you can find the resources, they are helpful. The second question I asked was, what do you hope improves in the future with the NaNoWriMo organization? There was a wide range of things here. Again, you know, some people really loved the buddy section. Other people really hated the buddy section. Some people said the forums were super helpful. Other people said the forums were incredibly confusing. Obviously, different people are going to have different opinions on different things, but one person said literally everything. The entire organization needs restructuring so nothing is left up in the air. They need to focus more on making sure that our MLs represent what they want for Nano and put in more than the barest minimum of efforts and bring back more community functionality like seeing friends on the websites and how they're progressing. I agree with a lot of that. They could use an overhaul, and I definitely agree about the MLs. The ML for my region was amazing, but there were a ton of comments in here that said their region was just a mess, that the MLs were either lazy and didn't do anything or were unmotivating, or I had another comment saying that their MLs were super focused on 50,000 and like we're pushing it to a level that was like, that was too much pressure to achieve that rather than just like, just try your best and do what you can. For the regions, I will say this, if you had a bad experience this year with your region, this isn't really like a foolproof solution, but one thing you could look into for yourself is to see if there's another region that you can join. So for my area, there used to just be one Houston region, but last year we had a separate region that was created specifically for my area, which is north of Houston. I could join whichever of those regions I wanted. If I had already had friends specifically in the more direct Houston area and I wanted to stay in the Houston area, I could. If I wanted to split off and go to this more northern region kind of group, I could do that as well. So look and see if there's another region, and especially like the past 2 years, and who knows what's going to happen next year. But since everything's been online, I could join a region in Ohio if I wanted and go to their live streams. You know what I mean? Like, so if the region that you are supposed to be in is unmotivational, if the MLs aren't really doing what they're signed up to do, look for another region. You can join in with them and hopefully next year be more encouraged and inspired and helped by the people in that group. There were also a lot of people in this question who said that the social media content from NaNoWriMo was not very engaging or very helpful. Like I said earlier, I'm not following them on Instagram or Twitter anymore, and I guess that kind of shows. It wasn't very inspiring or helpful for me either. So yeah, I think they could definitely improve in that area as well. Going back a little bit to the idea of Nano Rebels, one person had a really great idea. They said, maybe encourage those who didn't make 50,000 words to view what they have as a victory. Perhaps levels of achievement. For example, 5,000 to 10,000 words is a good start. I like that a lot, having levels of achievement, and 50,000 could still be like the top level, but you can still have sort of other badges or other types of acknowledgement for other levels of word count. I think that would be a great idea. One person even commented they have social media, question mark. Oh, burn. Yeah, they do. But clearly it's not really all that great. The last little pie graph that I have here said, if time/life circumstances/energy allow, do you think you'll participate in NaNoWriMo 2022? A huge amount of you said yes. 90 of you, 86% said yes. which I thought was great. About 10% of you just weren't quite sure, and only a small handful, 3 people, said no. Overall, you guys know I do love NaNoWriMo, and I hope people will continue to participate. I just hope that things can change for the better. And hopefully those no's will be able to join back in at some point if they like. Finally, I had an open-ended question just asking, do you have any other kinds of feedback you'd like to share? And you did. Some of them were really positive, others were not so positive, but one of them said, it was a great experience for me. It is the first time I have ever been this consistent with writing high word counts. I didn't even know I can do it, but I can. It changed a lot for me with my writing journey, and it has been a goal of mine for a long time to do just this. That is fantastic. I think really that should be the overall goal for anyone participating in NaNoWriMo, writing consistently and proving to yourself that you can achieve some really impressive things when you have some motivation and inspiration around you. That's fantastic. One person said, and I've heard this on other areas as well, they said, I find myself in a repeating cycle of not wanting to do NaNoWriMo and then feeling left out, especially as an active member of the AuthorTube community, so joining in anyway, and then ending up disappointed when I don't reach 50,000 words, even if I knew I likely wouldn't due to life circumstances, and that being the whole reason I didn't want to join in the first place. I can feel the frustration. I understand that completely, especially if you're an AuthorTuber. You almost feel like you have to do something because it's such a big writing event for everyone. And I think that's another reason that introducing other goals, other targets for the challenge in November would be so helpful. Writing should be fun, especially at the stage that most of us are at. Most of us are not published authors. Some of us are, but not all of us, not even most of us. And at this point, it should still be enjoyable. And I find that if you get burned out, if you're aiming for something that is completely unrealistic for you, that just makes it not fun anymore. There's too much pressure where there really doesn't need to be pressure and stress. So I really do hope that they will expand things to include more people. Another person said this is their 3rd or 4th year attempting, and it's their 1st year completing. So overall, it was a good year. That's awesome. Congratulations. Somebody else said, though I had fun, I would have liked there to be a place where newbies can learn to gain writer friends. Maybe it's because I'm an introvert, but I found finding buddies a little hard in a span of 30 days. Is it just me, or did anyone else have this problem? I don't know. Maybe it's a me thing. It's not just you, I promise. I'm a super introvert too. It is hard to find writing friends. It is very difficult, especially when the website doesn't super work very well. I would say, like, go to the forums and start chatting with people there. You can do that, but like a lot of people have said, the forums are messy and they're a little difficult to figure out what goes where. There is a section in the forums specifically for newbie writers, so you could check that out and just look at that one little section. Regions, again, like that's sort of the next thing I would point you to, but as other people have said, the regions can be a little hit or miss depending on where you are. Most people, like we saw in the survey results, most people were finding inspiration and motivation outside of NaNoWriMo. If you follow people here on YouTube, over on Instagram, Twitter, there's ways to connect with other people, but I understand as an introvert, it is so hard to even just make a comment sometimes or reach out to somebody. Like, there's a lot that you go through in your head about what is this person gonna think when they see my comment, and they're gonna think I'm ridiculous. Ugh. All that, I get it. It takes a while. It takes a while to make friends and feel comfortable interacting with other people online. I would just encourage you not to give up and to keep trying on days where you feel good and confident enough to comment somewhere or reach out to somebody. Finally, I'm going to end with this comment. This person said, I learned word count goals don't work for me. Next year, I'm going to take my average words per minute and make a time goal. I love that. One thing that you could take away from NaNoWriMo, if you didn't hit whatever your goal was, is what is the lessons to be learned from that. NaNoWriMo, I've said before, isn't for everyone. It could be a little more for everyone if they made Rebels a goal, but that's fine. Barring that, you can certainly have a takeaway from the year, and hopefully it's a positive takeaway. I know a lot of people had negative takeaways, but like this person said, I learned I don't like word count goals. I'm going to change and do something else next year. And that's awesome. So I hope if you participated and maybe it wasn't like the best experience, I hope you can still have some sort of takeaway in terms of what you learned about your writing process or other things like that. So once more, if you did take the time to fill out this survey, thank you so much. It was very interesting looking over all the results and all the different comments you guys left. I really appreciate it. I hope this was an interesting video. You can definitely sound off in the comments if you agree, disagree, have other thoughts, other ideas. Let me know all of that down below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button. I post videos on Tuesdays and Fridays. You can find me over on Instagram at Meredith Phillips Writes, and you can head over to my website, meredithphillips.com, to sign up for my newsletter. And don't forget, there's the link to submit writing spaces photos on that submission form. So again, all that is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.